And hello, family. And hello, John.
Good morning, sir. How are you
Good
doing this
morning. Good
morning?
morning. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Thank you very much. I wasn't
Good.
planning on being on screen. I was late to the punch.
No, it's good. I'm glad you are.
I
It's
guess
good
I
to
get
say
to make
hello
my
to you.
cameo this morning.
It gets us started on the right foot, John. John
Ah,
is our producer, our illustrious producer. And John, we've got a great show today.
exaggerated here. Exaggeration here.
Two of my greatest friends. Adam will be here in just a little bit from A Hill to Die Upon. And I can't wait to talk to him and share some memories. And he's got an announcement of a new project that is available now that we'll talk about on the show, John. And then my good friend Andreas is here, and Andreas Larson. He was a Sanctuary podcaster for a long time. We're gonna chat with him also. But
Absolutely.
John, it's a good day.
It is.
Um,
It is a great day. We got Thanksgiving on the radar. Uh,
yes,
we're looking
yes,
forward to that. And then the next thing you know, we're going to be looking to Christmas. It's hard to believe
yes,
we're already kind of fast tracking towards the end of 2023. It's been a great year. A lot of exciting things have happened, and
yes.
just when you think we couldn't do any more, Pastor Bob's going to say, "Here, hold my coffee." 2024 is going to be
Oh, so many
absolutely
ideas for the new
spectacular,
year.
and so we're definitely looking forward to that for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, we are. Well, folks, if you're just joining us, make sure that you sign in. Let us know where you're from, and love to see who's joining us today. If you would do that. So, John, thank you so much for doing all this. You are a great producer. We appreciate all of your work, and John just makes all of this happen. He's kind of good at it.
It's we're all different spokes in the wheel, and we all have different
That's true.
giftings
That's
and
true.
talents. And I'm extraordinarily happy to be a
Great.
part of serving in the
Thank
community.
you.
And I'm sorry if my eyes are wandering. I'm kind of
Oh,
multitasking here, working on trying to get stuff squared away and ready to go for
bet.
this morning. But no, being back a part again of the sanctuary camp have been thrilled to be a part of everything that is going on and exciting. And
Yes.
the October gathering got a chance to come. We're talking about so many exciting things that are coming up
Yes. And we'll have
outside. And if you guys
some great
see
announcements
2023 was
soon.
great. Yep.
Yes.
And
Yes.
again, we're talking Christmas. We're talking Thanksgiving here, and exciting things coming up for sure.
Yes.
And so we'll
Absolutely.
talk about some of that this morning. I'm going to steal some of Pastor Bob's thunder. Black Friday coming up, and we've got some exciting stuff. We don't, I mean, Pastor Bob talks coffee because if you
Well,
look coffee up in the
we've got
corner,
a
Pastor Bob's
huge sale. Yes.
holding the
Let's
sanctuary mug. Model the mug for me,
we'll
sir.
we'll put that up in a minute, and we'll talk about our sale. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
In fact, if you have that ready, let's just advertise it now.
absolutely.
So,
It's too good to have in one day. We always talk about Black Friday. It's a sale so great that we got to spread that out over 4 days.
yes,
So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, our good friend Anthony Gober with
yes,
Anthony with Anchor Merchandising, the fifth annual Black Weekend Sale, and all the sanctuary stuff, all the Headbangers Brew stuff, 25% off.
yeah, that's a really good
Definitely
deal.
want to make sure that
And John, I'm not really sure that we actually have 25% off the coffee.
okay.
Know that we have 25% off of everything else. So, yeah,
Yep.
visit the site, sanctuaryinternational.com. Go to our merch site, and we have, so many things available there. So that would be awesome. Well, I want to bring our co host on for today, Mr. Andreas Larson. And if you can put him on with me, John, I appreciate it. And there he is, the man, the myth, the legend, right there.
Well, it's an honor hanging out. Always a good
Yes.
hangout.
Well, dude,
Miss
it's great
you.
to see you. Great to see you. And, you can, if I said that Andreas plays the guitar, uh, you'd probably guess that already. And you've got some great guitars behind you there, dude. I think
I've
I've
got
heard
some fun ones.
those.
Remember, I bought this one when I first moved to
Yes.
Nashville in 2007.
Yes, I remember. I do remember. I think I was with you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you
That's
are.
awesome. Dude,
So that's great.
great
ESP, LCD. Yeah.
and it just goes to show, Andreas, that you can never have too many guitars. It's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I
Also,
want to give a little
never enough time to
history.
play them, but that's how it goes.
Want to give a little history about Andreas. If you're new to this face, Andreas has he was in charge of sanctuary for the country of Denmark. Andreas, we've done some really great things in Denmark. We had a really great festival there numerous times, and the one of the people that you had on your staff there in Denmark actually is married to Adam, who's coming up next from A Hill to Die Upon. And we'll tell that story with Adam. And Andreas, you met your wife when you came over to the United States, and you're married now and living in Illinois. Andreas used to travel with me many years ago. We traveled many countries together, many festivals. What years were those, Andreas? Do you recall?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll never forget. So you and I met at Bobfest 2004.
Yes.
The first time, and then 2000 we spoke a lot in 2004, and then a year went by. We met again at Bobfest 2005, and then started. Whenever you came over to Europe, I would join you for different festivals, and then in 2007, I moved to the States, to Nashville, to work with you. So 2005 through 9.
Yeah.
10. Yeah.
And then you met your wife, which is awesome. She is awesome, and her and her family, good friends of mine, and have been for a number of years. And they just kind of hit it off, and fell in love, got married, and have a beautiful son. And it's been a few years now since you got married. 2011, 12, what was it?
10. Yeah, it'll be 13 years here in 5 days.
Oh my goodness.
And so we got married at the end of the Sanctuary Discipleship Conference there in 2010.
Yes. We had a great wedding, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I tied the knot really, really tight. So they've stayed married because you couldn't get out of it, but you wouldn't want to.
Not possible. No, it's the best.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we got a lot of people joining us. Good morning, AV. Good to see you. He's a good friend of the ministry. Folks, if you're just joining us, let us know where you're from. We'd love to know that. Thomas says happy Thanksgiving to you. Andreas, what do you have planned for Thanksgiving?
We get to host. So we got Amanda's side of the family, just a small group, but we get her grandma this year.
Good.
Everybody wants Amanda's grandmother, and we get her this year. She's in her 90s, and she's awesome.
And she is a good cook.
Yes. Yeah, she cooks up a good dessert, usually something.
Oh, good.
Pretty good. But Amanda is the best cook in the world, my wife. So I married well on many accounts. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good family time, isn't it, Andreas? A good time to spend with folks. And Ian is here this morning. Good morning to you, and everyone wishing us happy Thanksgiving. So, Andreas, it's about to be a really exciting year, 2024. A lot of things coming up that we'll announce soon, and I'm hoping that Andreas will get us before too much longer. Again, he's needed to take a little time off, but I'm hoping that this is his window into you know, you seeing him more often because we sure love this guy. And
Yeah.
Jeff is here. Jeff from London. You remember Jeff Mortimer, Andreas?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
And
Destruction Fest and
Lucy, you remember Lucy from England?
yes. Hey, Lucy.
See, our good friend Lucy. So many good friends here. Samuel is here from Finland. Good to see you also, Samuel. And we've got some of our Finnish friends here because, you know, A Hill to Die Upon is especially popular in Finland. That's the style of music they're doing, and that's kind of a cool thing. Ivan, our good friend. Good to see you, Ivan, from Mexico. Folks joining us from all over the world, if you're just joining us right now, sign in, let us know where you're from. Nina from Detroit, Michigan, up the street from you. Over a little bit, huh? And Neil is here. Good morning, Neil.
Great nature in Michigan.
So, Andreas, we did a lot of festivals, and I met you actually. Good morning, Tim. Tim is a part of Sanctuary right here in Nashville. Good to see you. Diego from Argentina. Andreas, we met at Bob Fest in 2004, and it's exciting that now, all of these years later, we're just about to do Bob Fest again.
Yeah.
It's very cool, and that's in Sweden.
Yeah, it is.
And it was really one of the very first festivals in Europe, Christian metal festivals. 1999 was the first year. And I'm going to have some guys on before too much longer from the original meetings in those times. I'll have Johannes Jonsson here before too long. We'll talk about the Metal Bible again, and so much great history internationally from a whole lot of those people. But Bobfest was kind of the thing that catapulted all of this in Europe, didn't it?
Yes, I believe so. It was amazing. Like it opened a whole new world for me. That
Yes.
Christian fellowship within the extreme metal genres, because I've been into hard music, but didn't really know there was so much Christian culture there.
Yes.
Or people who are on fire for Jesus and still playing the most brutal music you can ever imagine.
Yes.
So I just we just started the first metal band with Christians in it in Denmark. We were latecomers in Denmark, so just started around the year 2000.
Well, I remember you and I talked about the scene in Denmark, and I remember saying, you know, we ought to have a festival there, and you said, well, there's nothing going on there, and at that point there wasn't. You had the first Christian metal band, way back in the very beginning, and great stuff. Metal Mouse is here with us from Holland. You remember Mouse? Great guy. And good to see you, my good friend from Sanctuary Holland. And Shalom from Louisville, Kentucky. Good to see you also. Rain for Christ. James Nelson from Indiana, your neighbor up there. So Andreas, that was kind of the beginnings. We didn't have any idea that just a few years later we'd be doing a festival there that would become very successful. And and tell us about the first band, because you guys were able to do the first Christian metal band in Denmark.
So we were the first ones out on the scenes in the bars. Barricades was called. So it had started a couple of years before I joined, and my friend and I started just a studio black metal band called Day of Disaster back in 1999, and that was the way. We were just so few, and then Morten Storgård from Barricades heard about me and asked if I wanted to join Barricades, and we met up, and we became best friends immediately. I was best man at his wedding, and he flew over and He was the best man at my wedding, and yeah, he's awesome. So yeah, we so Barricades, we played metalcore, very inspired stage show, very inspired by the Chariot. So
Yes,
bonkers on stage, 80% live show, 20% accuracy. But of course, when we went to the studio, we tried to actually play what we wrote. But it was amazing to see see people being drawn into that fellowship. Some of the fellowship I experienced as an attendee at Bobfest, just what there's an encouraging culture here where we just want to build each other up, where we can relate with looks, music, but more deeply our faith in Christ, and also maybe our questions about faith, and then coming together and encouraging each other, and come on, press on, and we can great. We can stay faithful.
Yes.
So it was amazing. And being being the first band out there, where it was too early for most churches to accept us, and also the bars did not like us when they heard that we were that we love Jesus. But one way that we really got plugged into the culture, and we won some favor, was that we tried to be the most positive people, also the most insane live shows, really really giving everything we had, and then we would hang around and talk, and we would be the last ones to leave the venue. We would even purposely clean up the backstage, because that was so unheard of. So if somebody puts on a show and then they realize that one of the bands cleaned up the backstage, you get some brownie points there. And also, just no matter how bad of a job the sound guy did, we made it a point to go over and thank him afterwards, maybe even thank him from stage. So just trying to share some positive vibes in a culture where people, we all need some positivity.
Amazing. And it sparked a whole lot of things happening. Well, your old bandmate from Barricades, Morton, was just here visiting me here in Nashville.
Yeah,
it was great to see him again, and he and a few guys from a few of the other bands in Denmark put together the ultimate band called Captain Rosalind.
Yes.
And, if you haven't heard Captain Rosalind, by the way, they're really good. And Simone, who is Adam's wife, says, I miss days with Barricades. It was some fun times and brought me closer to God for sure. That's awesome, isn't it?
It was so awesome meeting Simone there at so many of the concerts, and then becoming good friends, and having, and then suddenly we were putting on Greenlight District Festival together. She was a part of the core group, and
she's awesome, and now she's getting more involved with us here, which is awesome. She's going to take on some work with us, which is real exciting for us. Bob Adams is here, Pastor Bob 2.0. He's the improved version of the Pastor Bob dynasty. And good to see you, Bob. Well, Andreas, unfortunately, you're just kind of on a little bit of a lunch break, and you've got to leave us. But I appreciate you sticking your head in for a few minutes and saying hello. And we have to have you back. And maybe if there's a time when you can spend a little more time, we'll stroll a little further down memory lane. That would be fun.
That would be awesome. And I'll stay tuned in and listen to Adam.
Great.
Here in a bit.
Awesome.
God bless you.
My friend, good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Andreas Larson. Folks, once again, I want to remind you that we've got a great sale going on, and I want to show you my mug. This is the greatest one. I listen to two types of music, heavy and metal. That's a great one, isn't it? I keep missing There we go. Heavy and metal. Great Sanctuary mug. And you can see behind me all of our mugs and we're backwards. There we go. And posters and tons of t-shirts. We're almost getting ready to introduce the new Sanctuary clothing line. You can look in the back sticker and it'll have our logo, and it's Sanctuary clothing. And we're excited to introduce that before too much longer here. And here is our sale. It's a Black Friday sale for the weekend. And everything, and I'm not sure it includes the coffee. This may be a misprint, but I know it includes everything else. You'll just have to go and check it out. And everything, 25% off. That's major. And folks, if you've been waiting for a good sale, putting off getting some Christmas gifts, and you know that those people on your Christmas list would love to have something metal, and especially something from Sanctuary, just saying, this is the place to go. You can either go to wearemetalwearfamily.com or sanctuaryinternational.com/merch, and you'll find all of our cool stuff there. 25% sale only happens once a year, this time of the year. So make sure that you take advantage of it. This is a big deal, as you know, and appreciate you doing that. John, our producer, are you still there? Mr. John, come on. There he is. Great job today. It's kind of fun to have Andreas on again, wasn't it?
It was exciting. Again, it's been a long time, but he's been a long time involved with Sanctuary for quite some time, and glad to see
yeah.
And
Really
when you're involved with Sanctuary, it's a long-term relationship.
Yes. And you know, John, the interesting thing about Andreas, he's a great musician. And he's just this mellow, meek guy. He's got such a great personality. You just fall in love with him instantly. His spirit is very, very sweet. And when he gets up on stage, he transforms into the wildest of wild men that you've ever seen.
It's kind of like Sylvester Stallone from what's the wrestling movie that he has where he takes the hat, turns it backwards. Yes. It's like a switch.
And away he goes. That's right. And so he's definitely got that kind of energy. And again, he's all over the stage. He's jumping. He's screaming. He's, whatever. And in those days, when Barricades was just starting, Andreas had dreads that came down to his waist. And so it was always cool to watch him on stage, and he'd put his head down and then throw his head up, and the dreads would go all over. And it was kind of it was a cool thing.
Kind of like Brian Welch from Korn.
And then he got married, and listen to this, found out that his wife was allergic to his dreads.
Oh, no.
I know. And so he had to cut the dreads off. And of course, he has long hair now, but it couldn't be dreads anymore. She was allergic to the dreads.
He still looks good.
He still looks great.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy. Well, John, I'm excited for our next guest. And we're going to get to him in just a minute. Folks, if you're just joining us, make sure that you sign in. Let us know where you're from. And we'd love to see that. We've had people from all over the world here that are signing in, that are saying, I'm watching from Finland, from Mexico, from England, from so many different places. There's Timothy Redmond. Good to see you. From Switzerland, one of my favorite places, and a place that I have lived as well. Timothy, good to see you. And Barry, our good friend Barry, good to see you today. Great friend of the ministry. Appreciate you being here. So we're going to take a little break. We're going to tell you about this great coffee. And I want you to, if you've never ordered Headbangers Brew before, what? It's time to start. We'll be back in just a minute with Adam Cook from A Hill to Die Upon. And we're back. I have a very special guest joining us today. A good friend of mine for a lot of years, Adam Cook, is here with us today. Adam, good morning.
Good morning, Bob.
Good to see you today.
Great
And
to see you.
taking the time to join us. Adam is absolutely one of my favorite people, and I appreciate him being here. Many of you that are watching right now are fans of A Hill to Die Upon, great band, and you guys kind of do a little bit of rhythm and blues, right?
Right, yeah. Little Nordic take on some rhythm and blues with some
Exactly. Well, we've got friends joining us from Finland and Mexico, and those are some of the places where black metal, death metal is a little more popular even. Some really great fans.
It's amazing.
Yeah, all over those. Well, I want to talk about the history of the band. You've got a great announcement to make today, too, on a project that's just been released that we need to get to. And folks, I just want to tell you once again, if you're joining us today, put down your location. Would love to know where you're watching from. People from all over the world are joining us. We appreciate you joining us this morning for our industrious, illustrious guest. Adam Cook is with us this morning, and welcome to the podcast, Adam. So, Adam, you and I go back a few years, and talk about the first time that you and I met.
It was 2008. It was at the Cornerstone at the farm.
Yes. I remember.
I always say that to the old school Cornerstones, and they're like, "Wait, was that one up in Chicago? Or is that the farm?" And I'm like, I wasn't quite old enough to make it to the first one, but we grew up about 45 minutes away from Cornerstone. So ever since I was a little kid, grew up there. It shaped me and made me who I am. And good or bad. So, but we met in 2008. Andreas Larson, my good friend and your good friend, introduced us. And said, "Hey, you got to meet this guy." And I was honored to meet the grandfather of Christian metal. It was awesome, and you were so nice. It was great. Gave you our first demo, and then after that, we had our first album come out the next year. So it helped us. So. And then you married my wife and I, Simone, in 2011. 2 years later, in 2011.
You've been married 12 years now, Adam.
I'm not good at math, so don't but it's round about there.
That's awesome. Well, and I remember the day so well of your wedding. We had the wedding in Illinois where you live, and your family. Your parents live, and you do too at this point, but live out in kind of the middle of cornfields. Would you say that's a good description?
It's literally from the movie Signs, like cornfields surrounding it, aliens in the cornfields, You
can't see anything else but cornfield.
That's right.
And the little church that we did the wedding in was awesome. And in the middle of the cornfields. And then the reception at your parents' house, which is your house now, and just such a great time. And it was so cool to have all these metalheads in the middle of the cornfields. And what a great time. And
it was really special.
You married very well, by the way.
I lucked out big time.
You did. She is awesome.
She's still here, so she still puts up with me.
No, she's awesome, and she's, again from Sanctuary in Denmark, and just has a real love for all things Sanctuary, but especially all things metal.
Yep.
And it's been a great support for you and for the band. Let's talk about the band a little bit.
Yeah.
When you describe the music, and you get asked this a lot, I know, and it's a tough question, but how would you describe the music for maybe somebody that's been living under a rock and hasn't heard about the band yet?
Boy, oh boy. How it sounds and what it looks like. To the average layman, I just say it's heavy metal. to somebody who knows what they're talking about a little more, I'll maybe describe a couple more things. But I always preface it, say it just looks like you put Kiss through a meat grinder. And
I like that. And if we had to name a genre, would you say it's a form of black metal?
I'd say so. We've always been, Michael and I, when we started the band in 2004, hardcore metalcore was the top thing everybody was trying to do, and we were just hungry, wanting to play music, and that was the heaviest, coolest thing we found. And as soon as we found that, it was like, well, then there's this next cooler thing. Well, then there's this next. So the band always was like searching for, pushing whatever limit, and we didn't even consciously, I think, even know what we were doing. We were just hungry. A hungry man just eats and doesn't really look what he's shoving in his mouth. And the next thing you look up and you're like, whoa, how did it end up here? And we're like, well, we kind of really reached what we thought was the line. So every release we do, we try to think, okay, how can we push it? So our first single we released in 7 years was an acoustic track. So we thought, well, what's the most black metal thing we can do? Let's release an acoustic track with clean singing.
That's awesome. And Adam, would you say that you were at that point just maybe a little bit ahead of your time too?
Oh, I like to think so, but no. we were just looking at our heroes and just trying to emulate them, and we weren't good at it. I mean, the emulation. So our sloppy imitation ended up being kind of our own thing, which then we kind of realized, like, this is actually kind of fun. This is actually kind of cool. We like it. So
yes, that's awesome. And there's a link right now below, folks, if you want to listen to the band, because we have, problems with licensing and all of that. We can't actually play any right now because we're not covered for that. But if you want to hear the band, hilltodieupon.bandcamp.com/music, and you can go there and listen to some music. And if you like it, and I say if, when you realize you like it, when you realize you love it. Adam, you've got several releases. Mm-hmm. Talk about the releases that you've had so far in the past.
Our first album came out in 2009. It was took years to put together and make. Every album is a real intense labor of love that almost kills us every time, it seems. But at the end of it, usually what will happen is we get so burned out after it, we're like, no more. We're not doing any more of this. We're done. And then Michael, the drummer, my brother, he will write a lyric, and I'll hear it and I'll go, the world needs to hear this one line. So then that one song, that one line will end up triggering it. And so it's like every time there's always like, okay, we'll do one more. And now I think it's just like constant repetition. It's like, well, okay, time to. And this last release we did was the longest time we've had in between, but man, it was. I'm pretty happy with the newest one. But they're all have a special heart, or special place in my heart.
John, put the album cover on the screen here, and let's introduce its new album, because this is very exciting. Now, as you can tell, folks, it's a traditional Christmas album.
Yes.
Yeah. The Black Nativity. Wow, you're pushing the boundaries a little bit here, aren't you?
Yeah. Awesome. We really have to thank Rottweiler Records. They were just bought out by from Sean Browning from Grave Robber. He had it for years, and then he sold it to the Mythic Panda Group in Dallas, Texas. And those guys, let me tell you what, there is a resurgence in Christian metal, and it is going to be circling around Rottweiler Records. I mean, Jairus, Caleb, Milton, all those guys, top notch. If there's any bands out there, like, that's who you need to work with, because they are the best. It's been the smoothest process we've ever had. So
good. So a Christmas death metal album. There are a lot of people that are going, okay, how do you connect those dots? Exactly. So, what was the inspiration for the album? How did you think, gee, I love death metal, I love Going to the Edge, let's do a Christmas album?
we we had a song years ago on our second album called Adept in Divinity, and Michael wrote it, and it's about what would essentially like what would the three wise men, who knows how many there were, but like, what was their story? How did they just go, I see a star and I'm going to follow it? Like there had to be more to the story than that. And I'm
Yes.
thinking about it like, okay, are these like kings? Are they grand wizards up in a tower? There's infinite stories you could make, but we kind of thought there might be a cool story in there that's like maybe these guys are like old wizards, old magicians from an ancient time, an ancient religion, even that like they're following their path, and then all of a sudden they're not in the right correct path, but then it still leads them to the truth. And I've seen that happen in my own life, in so many other people's lives, where it's like you uh, you're on a path, and then that path leads you back to Jesus, whether you like it or not. And it's like, I think what's his name? J.R. Tolkien said, "All stories are trying to tell the same story, which is the great story." And I butchered that quote totally, but you can Google it and find it. But
But that is really true. The greatest story ever told, and a whole lot of different ways to tell it is what you're
Mhm.
saying. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, so we've got a lot of friends joining us, Adam.
yes,
Just a friend from India, from Malaysia, from um, Mexico. Great friends in Mexico. You've played at the Exudo Festival there, haven't you?
yes. I playing Mexico, playing there, and having 1,000 people just screaming on, holding on to your every movement. We played in some little town up in the mountains, and
Yes.
nowhere, just middle of nowhere, and they painted our logo the size of a building on the side of a wall 2 times, and I just
Awesome.
got like, this, where am I? This is crazy. None of us spoke Spanish. We were just winging it, trying to,
Yes.
we
And they don't
basically
speak English very well. Yeah.
yeah, it was incredible. Very amazing people.
Yes.
Really cool.
Now, was that the location that's kind of on the side of a old volcano?
That one, I don't think we've played that one yet, but we've gone to Mexico
Yeah.
and played and did a small tour, and just the best people. I mean, amazing.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, such great friends in Mexico, and I always love being there with them, and the festivals are always top notch. They really put a
Yes,
lot into it, as
they
you said.
do. They do.
Really good. Well, let's go back to your story, Adam.
Yeah.
And um, you come from a Christian family.
hmm
Um, you and your brother started
hmm
this band, and that
hmm
was kind of cool. But tell us about your early beginnings in the faith. When did you become a Christian? When did you decide that this wasn't just something that you were going to copy because your parents were doing it? Because God
Yeah.
doesn't have any grandchildren.
Right.
You needed to become a son of God. When did that all happen for you?
I have a similar story to a lot of people, especially a lot of people in my generation. I was born in 1988. Um, my parents had become Christians in their 30s, brought us to
Oh,
church. For them, it was new. For Michael and I, we grew up in the church. So growing up in it, you see it a little different. All A lot of my friends were from church. So I remember I was playing Legos, and I remember it just clicked with me. I think I was 7 years old. I was like, I think I need Jesus. And it all actually it actually clicked pretty well for me at that age. And then
yeah,
as you grow older, life has a way of just saying, "Oh yeah, I've got something to show
yeah,
you,"
sure.
and beats the living crap out of you. And then a lot of times, what I've seen happen is so many, like for me, for a lot of my friends, you're adrift in the water, and it's fine. You can tread water in calm water, but if all you've got is a stick to hold on to, it's not really gonna. And so a lot of our faith, we thought it was strong, but it really wasn't. because it wasn't constantly tested. And that's why but I think I was tested enough that it stuck with me, even though I went through trying times. And the Bible verses I memorized, I mean, I did the whole Awana, memorized your Bible verses, and like whether I liked it or not, those
Yes.
Bible verses stuck with me, and
Yes.
Proverbs Bible verses stuck with me, and through my darker times. And then I actually kind of, this record we just did kind of is a story of us too. Like you come back to the real story, the true story, the long way. You know, a lot of people take the most, you know, it's like, well, they go to church, and I really love and respect those people, but I'm one of those dummies who has to like, I'm gonna go do something hard and hurt myself. You know, that's how I have to learn. So yep, did that, but came back. I feel like, you know, and everything has clicked for me in the past 10, 15 years, where it's like all the pieces, I see them fit clearly now, more than I ever have. And yeah,
That's
hope that
awesome.
makes sense.
But you know, all of us have to have that come to Jesus moment, don't we? We really
Maybe several times.
yeah, maybe several times. And maybe we're not done yet. You think? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So musical influences. You probably got involved with metal early on.
Yeah.
Tell us about that path.
uh, my earliest music memories, I mean, seeing the Newsboys at Burlington Memorial Auditorium, and the drum riser going up and turning and spinning, and my
Yeah.
eyes were like this, and just like this, it was, everything changed at that moment. And I was like, somehow I got to do this. And I went home and took my little Lego figures and gave them guitars, and it was game over.
Awesome.
Metal though, my parents were from the 70s kind of rock and roll generation, so I got all the Ted Nugent and stuff growing up. And then metal isn't too far from that kind of rock and roll. And
No, Cat Scratch Fever was definitely on the metal side, wasn't it?
absolutely, wow,
Yeah.
one of the first guitar riff I ever learned.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Great
So,
song.
and yeah, great song, great guitar player. And so do it. I mean, of course, mom and dad were kind of like, are you sure you want to do this kind of music? You know, and we're like, you know, hungry drug addicts, basically like, yeah, I need it, you know. And for whatever reason, we couldn't put our finger on it, but something about the art and the metal just spoke to us and grabbed
Yeah.
us. And you know, when you're captured by an idea like that, there's really nothing you can do. It's just the idea's got you, and you just got to go along for the ride. And yeah, here I am today.
You were hooked.
Yep.
Yes. So how did it evolve for you, Adam? Because you know, you started out with a little more of a melodic sound,
hmm
and definitely you're not doing melodic at this point. Um, how did you get into more of a hardcore style of metal? Was that just a natural progression, or was it some event that happened?
I think it's just slowly, you know, it is the slow evolution, but it's the always searching for the next. Um, Michael and we've always told stories through music that weren't necessarily the easy stories to tell. A lot of our peers in Christian metal, I love them. I mean, I love them, but they're just not my stories that I feel like I need to tell. Like
Yeah.
the just praise Jesus type stories. Those are, I want those to be in the music and in the stories, but there are, you know, there's the dark side of humanity. So a lot of our songs will have like little snippets of like World War One themed, or, you know, despair. A lot of like, because I think sometimes, and this was true for me, you know, you can't really appreciate the saving part of Christianity until you've seen the devil. And once you've seen it, once you've seen like
Yes.
real evil and real bad, you kind of, it just, the seriousness clicks in, and you go, okay, all right, it's real, it's legit. there isn't just a hill to chase, you know, a good the cross on top of the hill that you need to strive for. The devil is really trying to eat you and laugh at you as you fall. And I've seen it happen to a lot of my friends, and it breaks my heart, and I'm just thankful that I had the experiences growing up. And I feel like for me, a big part of me that kept me grounded through my most trying times was, you know, I knew there were, I spent time with you and down at the bridge when you were in Nashville, under the
Yes.
bridge, feeding homeless, and to you just feel it. You just see it different down, you know, it's like you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater when you know there's a baby in there. So it's like, well,
Right. Yes. But you mentioned a hill
Mhm.
as you're describing. Is that kind of where A Hill to Die Upon came from? How did the name evolve?
Again, I think I was 15, just like looking for whatever cool name thought I could find, and that was the one that won. But what was weird was, like, I think subconsciously that's what in a way, that's where we were being pulled. The symbolism of the hill, you know, what hill do you want to die on? You know, I mean, you're gonna die, so which one is it gonna be? And you can also just die in a valley, and that sucks, because then you know, the valley is essentially hell, you know, and you
Yes.
got to find a hill. And the best hill of all, there's a hill that's taller than all the other hills, and I think that's the Christ story. So for me to lose a lot of what I had, my blind faith, and have to go back to, well, I'm going to choose this one, whether it's true or not. It's like, this is the best one. And that's where I ended up. And that's where I think a lot of my peers ended up too, because we're from the generation, I'm from the generation where the new atheist movement in 2010, 2012 really hit hard. And it just wrecked so many of my friends and mine spiritual core. And
Yes.
now to see so many coming back to it, it's amazing. There really is a spiritual hunger and reawakening
It's a
happening.
revival, isn't there?
Hmm.
Yeah, really a revival. And you know, it's when you discover the love of Jesus Christ, I think, and you know, C.S. Lewis calls him the Hound of Heaven. You know, he's
Mhm.
always there, always getting your attention, always trying to bring you back. Once you discover your first love, you always have a desire and a hunger to come
Mhm.
back to him, don't you?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so important. And Adam, you know, you've gone through uh, not an easy life. You've had difficulties. You've
Mhm.
had trials and tribulations along the way, as most people have. And when you hit those, don't you feel like you either go one direction or another? And you end up asking yourself this question: what's the most important thing for me? And in essence, what hill am I prepared to die on? Because that
Yes.
is a valid question, isn't it?
Yes. And there's been several hills I had foundations, I was machine gun sandbags. I'm like, I'm ready to die on this hill. And then next thing I know, I'm like, wait a second. Maybe actually the hill behind me is a better one. So then you
Mm,
retreat back, and then eventually you get to, oh, it's this one back there with the cross on it that I kept running from. That's the one. Oh. And yeah.
yes. And so, would you say that your music then is really reflective on, you know, everybody likes happy, happy, joy, joy
Hmm.
songs. A lot of
Hmm.
people do.
Yes.
But those songs don't reach you when you're going through the depths of despair and darkness in your life. You've really chosen to write more towards those dark times,
Yes.
where the rubber meets the road, where you have to choose what hill you're going to die upon. And would you say, you know, I learned a long time ago that there are many musicians who write their best songs when they're depressed.
Oh yeah.
There's
Definitely.
something that happens during that time that's very real and very raw. Would you say that is somewhat true with you?
Absolutely. and I've been my whole life has been trying to find out what that is. What,
Yeah.
like, symbolically, scientifically, how does it work? Why is there, like, why are the best musicians the most tormented, the most,
Yeah.
and if you can listen to the most perfect classically trained pianist or guitar player, and their life is put together, they're just perfect, and their music is like technically perfect and amazing, but when they go to write something, it's just, there's something missing. And I think, as an if you're there's a difference between an entertainer and an artist, and there's different way, and many people can bridge the both. Some people can only do one or the other. um, I'm not that good of a musician, so I'm like, I better figure out how to write a good song. So trying to figure out what that is about writing a good song, and I think it has to come down to suffering. Are you also willing to, like, look at the because, like, if you're willing to look at the dark part of you, that's like, because there is a part of all of us that could be an Auschwitz guard, and you're like, oh no, I couldn't do that. I would be on the side hiding the Jews.
Yeah.
Probably not, actually. You'd probably be the one who guards the prisoners and then kicks them with your boot and your rifle butt, and then enjoys it.
Yes.
That's freaking terrifying. And once you
Yes.
dig that part out of you, you go, the devil is real, and part of him lives in me in a weird way, if I'm willing to do his work. And
Well,
that'll
that's
wake you up.
sobering. Yes. That's a really sobering thought. That's excellent.
So
And
we try to
yeah.
write music about that, and it's kind of depressing sometimes, but it's the most meaningful thing I think I can do. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, but my intuition, that's where it pulls me, and I just have to follow.
Yes. Awesome. So, Adam, you've got an interesting hat on.
Oh, I do.
It says heavy and Western, and there are people thinking, what in the heck does it say? So your brother Michael is in a very popular Western
Heavy and Western band.
heavy,
It's
heavy country music Western.
yes.
band. Yeah.
I still think, I mean, I've seen over 1,000 shows all over the world. I still think their show, the Comancheros, I think their live show is the best I've ever seen. And I've seen them probably 75, 80 times. And it's still, every time it's like, how did they manage to get better? I don't know. It's weird. But if you like Thin Lizzy, if you like old kind of 70s, that kind of rock, it's
Yes.
right up your alley.
Yes. And it is exactly that, with a little bit of an edge. But it's funny how things get the country label these days. James Taylor is country, and
Yeah.
just country has really changed. So I used to say I hated country Western music, and I can't say that anymore because it's gotten too big. But yeah, the Rancheros, right? That's the name of
The Comancheros. Yep.
Comancheros.
There's an old John Wayne movie called The Comancheros.
Yes.
And that's where they got it from. So, and John, I mean, I'm a big John Wayne fan. I probably rented every John Wayne movie from the library twice as a kid on VHS.
Well, Jim Laverty on our
Yes.
staff that does our is our worship leader. His father is a key grip in the movies, and
No way.
I remember one time visiting their home, and he's worked with everybody. I mean, everybody. He is
That's so cool.
the most sought after key grip in Hollywood, and there are people that won't do a movie unless he'll work with them on it. Big stars.
Awesome.
But I remember seeing this big picture of John Wayne, and John Wayne, writing just this very endearing message on it. And so I asked Al, Jim's dad, I said, so you have some experience with John Wayne? And he started naming the John Wayne movies that he had done and his relationship with John Wayne. And I just thought, how cool is that?
I wish I was in my normal studio, because I've got John Wayne posters all over the walls. I do.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so great, and great movies.
Hmm. Yes.
Rooster Cockburn and so many.
Yep.
There's the band right there.
There they are, those crazy guys.
Great. And yeah, give them a listen as well. And Michael, of course, is in the band with you as well, your brother.
He's the main lyric writer. I think he's a phenomenal drummer, but I think he's actually a better writer than he is a drummer, which is saying a lot. So he writes all of Hilda Diapon's lyrics, and yeah.
That's awesome. Adam, I'm proud of you, and
thanks, Bob.
I appreciate our friendship, and I appreciate what you're doing musically, folks. If you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard A Hill to Die Upon, this would be a good time. Once again, if you go to this link, and John, if we could put it up, you can hear some of the music. A Hill to Die Upon.bandcamp.com/music, and you can at least hear what they sound like, and then you need to begin to collect the recordings. And of course, this one would be a good place to start. It's Christmas time soon, and the Black Nativity, some great music, some meaningful lyrics, and some music that you can share with your friends that are into a darker side of metal, and might be greatly influenced by the greatest story ever told, the birth of the Messiah. That's awesome, isn't it?
And
awesome.
Make sure to get yourself some cool Sanctuary merch and this cool Sanctuary coffee I'm drinking.
There you go. Good. Absolutely. And folks, and don't forget 25% off for the whole weekend. What a bargain. Bargain. Yes. Adam, blessings to you, my good friend. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, folks, for joining us. It's been great to spend this time with you. We do this every Wednesday, and come back and join us again. I can't guarantee that all the guests are going to be as cool as this one, but we'll have some good folks on. And folks, don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.